name's Lexi and I really love tabletop games. So much so that we sit down together and we take a look at one once a week, every week, here on the gaming table. If that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to press subscribe and keep watching. If you're really keen to support the channel, there is a link in the description box to my Ko-Fi page where you can donate to the channel any amount that you feel is comfortable for you. All the funds go directly back into the running costs of the channel, so I greatly appreciate it. Today I am taking a look at another game from Evil Hat Productions. This is their latest big release, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I will admit I have high expectations because of how much I've enjoyed Evil Hat Production games in the past. For today's review, we are taking a look at Girl by Moonlight by Andrew Gillies. Girl by Moonlight takes inspiration from the genre of magical girls. This genre originates in Japanese animation and comics. The basic concept is about heroes who live a double life. By night, they are heroes trying to save the day. Generally, saving the day is done with the help of a secret identity. I was introduced to this genre at a pretty young age through a dub of Sailor Moon, which had me instantly hooked. You're presented with 4 settings in this game manual to use for your game. Rather than being super detailed, you're given some rough impressions of what the world of these games looks like so that you can adapt and make them your own. You're provided some core concepts, some of which I do think perhaps might be a bit unusual when you think of the magical girl genre. It just so happens that the magical girl genre is really broad, so there's lots you can do with it. The first setting provided is called At the Brink of the Abyss. It's a generally positive note. It's set on an Earth similar to ours that is being threatened by evil and corrupt forces. Generally, they want to take advantage of humanity's weaknesses and anxieties to spread evil. In this setting, the magical girls are going to fight against that. It's absolutely an optimistic setting. The second one is Beneath a Rotting Sky. This one is a pretty grim world. It's sort of post-apocalyptic and it definitely leans towards having a tragic tone. Everyone in this world is complicit in their own destruction and their own evils in one way or another. While this perhaps sounds really sad, it also makes the moments of victory and happiness so bittersweet and interesting to play. The next setting is called On a Sea of Stars, which is about pilots getting in giant robots to fight against overwhelming forces. There's a lot of big feels in this one because the pilots' emotions are going to directly affect their performances in battle. If you do love yourself some big robot action, this could be a fun one to look into. The last one is In a Maze of Dreams, which is a kind of surreal setting. It's about characters who keep having strange dreams that link them together whether they know it yet or not. There seems to be some kind of conspiracy behind this, and it's up to the group of players to find out what it all means. The last setting felt like it had the least concrete details about where the game was set. It's definitely more about a vibe than an actual place. I really appreciate that the game provides us a couple of options to play around with for the game. The first one is optimistic, the other two perhaps lead towards a more pessimistic outview, and I'm not quite sure which way the last one leans. I do think with the option of those 4 settings, there should be something to interest a group of players. This game uses a modified version of the Forged in the Dark system, which seems to be pretty popular as of late. It did originate with Blades in the Dark, which was another publication by Evil Hat Productions. In the Forged in the Dark system, there are different phases of play, and the mechanics change depending on what phase you're in. The first phase in Girl by Moonlight is Obligation, which is about the characters dealing with everyday life and what they're bound to in that sphere. Perhaps it's working a part-time job, maybe it's a fight you had with a friend, or forgetting your homework. In this phase, players are rolling to hopefully prevent their characters taking on any further stress. In this phase, players are rolling to hopefully endure these obligations so their characters don't take on any further stress. If a player happens to roll really well for their character, they might get the option to have an additional action in the downtime phase. The manual explains downtime next. Downtime is generally after the action and where your characters prepare themselves for any future danger or try take a rest. There's 4 actions you can take in downtime. Make a connection, so that's to establish a new relationship. Help a friend recover. Work on a long-term project, and investigate. The phase that I find takes the most time in a game is the mission phase. The mission phase is where the action is happening. Players are going to be rolling d6s to try react to or reach the threat or goal of the day. The manual for this game encourages game masters and players not to sweat these small details, but rather to jump to the action-packed parts of the story, which are going to be the most interesting to play. If needed, this game does allow the players to go on a flashback, which will show how they've potentially prepared for a situation that's come up. It does need to be reasonable. You can't necessarily prepare for every situation, but if it makes sense for a character or a group to prepare for certain situations, then that is an option to include. The last stage that they explain in this manual is Fallout. This is kind of right after the mission. It's about the consequences of the character's actions. Perhaps they saved the day, but half of the city is destroyed, or maybe they are now late on a project for work. This iteration of the Forged in the Dark system still includes one of my favourite elements, which are the clocks. They're perhaps not as prominent in the game as they are in other versions. Basically, clocks are pie charts that you can colour in. They can help monitor what's happening outside of a scene or in the real world on a long-term scale. For example, perhaps say an evil corporation is going to buy up a nature reserve and turn it into a polluting factory. Their steps in that, you're going to want to monitor how far along they are in that plan, if only to know when it's too late to do anything. A significant change made in this manual to the Forged in the Dark system is how stress works. In the original Blades in the Dark game manual, once your character takes on 4 stress, they are retired, regardless of where the story is at. In this game, if your character takes on too much stress, they go into their eclipse phase. This is where they are consumed by their darkest thoughts, and they might have their magical girl persona changed to reflect that. To recover from being in an eclipse, a player will need their friends to help them understand their self-worth and how much they mean to everyone around them. I know I made that sound super cheesy, but it absolutely fits the genre. This game isn't a straightforward magical girl role-playing game. There aren't perhaps as many aesthetics borrowed from Japanese animation or culture than you might expect. This is because the magical girl genre is actually a pretty broad one and covers a lot of superhero identities as well. It's absolutely possible to have a magical girl story set in a post-apocalyptic world. One thing I was a bit disappointed about is this manual asks all of the players and the game master to skip to Season 2. This is to brush over the introductions phase of getting the band together. I understand why this was done. The Forged in the Dark system in particular is not built to do introductions, and in general they can be awkward to roleplay and to write into the story. Perhaps I'm just really swayed because as a small kid I remember watching Sailor Moon, and every time a new Sailor Scout was introduced there was always a bit of mystery and potential menace to them. You weren't sure if they were going to be allies or enemies, and that was always really exciting. I didn't find a good place to cover all of the playbooks, but to generally summarize, they tend to be about the characters' feelings and a general vibe to them. There's different questions different playbooks can ask, and generally it's about finding out more about the people around you. I think it is kind of Evil Hat Productions' thing to do games about feelings, and for a certain group of people this is absolutely appealing. But for others who enjoy a bit more tactical gameplay, this is perhaps a little bit dull. It's pretty easy to track if a character has done something in a game for a milestone, but to track emotional development or how they're particularly feeling, that can be a little bit trickier to discern. I do think this does tie into the genre. Magical girls tend to be about feelings and friendship. If you are looking to play a game about magical girls, I would definitely sit down and discuss with your group if you are looking for something that's geared towards the feelings of the genre or more the action. A physical copy of this game manual retails for around $30 US. There are more affordable options for PDFs, but I think to play this game with just a digital copy would be trickier than having a physical one at the table. Girl by Moonlight is about drama, feelings, and friendship. What do you think? Is that something you're interested in playing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. While you're there, if you enjoyed this video, you should definitely like this video, and if you want to check out when I've next uploaded, you can subscribe and turn on notifications. That's how YouTube says they shall let people know when I've next uploaded. If you think you know someone who would enjoy this video, please feel free to share it with them. Any and all interaction helps this video get more attention on the sea of the YouTube algorithm. If you would really like to help out the channel, there is a link to my Ko-Fi page in the description box below. All donations to the channel go straight back into the running costs of the channel, and it is always much appreciated. I want to thank you all for watching this video and sharing your thoughts on Girl by Moonlight. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!